What is going on, everybody? Welcome to Before the Battle Nebraska edition. We're going to go shuck some corn. Brought to you always by the Barn Baseball and Softball Academy, Cornerstone Home Remodeling. As always, I am Jeremy the Couch Potato. Opposite side of the screen, we have the man, the myth, the film watching prepper for the big game tomorrow night against the Bears. Shout out Corey Keplinger, though.
Yeah.
We got to give the Bears some love, but big one
Yeah,
tomorrow night for you.
my brother-in-law is there too with Kep
Oh,
and
really?
and Josh Pace.
Yeah.
And
Josh
so
McDaniels.
so there's a lot of Marion connections to Berlin High School. So we're excited, man. It'll be a good game, two I think pretty evenly matched teams. Both teams are well coached, and so it should be a good one. I heard the atmosphere there is pretty crazy, so I'm excited to experience it.
Heck yeah, we're excited for you. We, obviously, hopefully the Braves come out with the dub.
Yeah.
Uh, week 10. So shout out all the guys that are strapping them up for the last time tomorrow night.
Yeah.
That gets emotional. I know Harding had senior tackle today. Um,
Yeah.
it gets real now.
Yeah.
Um, it,
Yeah.
it feels like, we we haven't had a before the battle in like 2 weeks, and it feels like it's been but it feels like that Oregon game was like 4 months ago.
I know.
Um, so yeah, Buckeyes are back on the home field, noon, big noon kickoff. 2 weeks in a row, this weekend next. Penn State wanted no part of us at night. The Penn State fans are saying it's Fox, but you're never going to convince me the school doesn't have some part of a say in it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Real quick before we dive into Nebraska, though, big recruiting news yesterday. Jakeem Stewart is taking an unofficial to the shoe for this game.
Okay. All right. I didn't see that.
Yeah, so that's big.
That's huge, man.
Especially when obviously the two aren't directly related, but Naeem Offord is not making the trip.
Yeah.
As our friend Berm says, watch what they say, or watch what they do, not what they say.
Yeah.
About time to start see what we can brew up, I think. So yeah, the Huskers come to town 5-2. Pretty solid win. Early in the game one, they beat Colorado 28-10. Lost to now legitimate chance at a playoff team, Illinois, in overtime. But they are coming off of getting absolute boat raced by Indiana. 56-7. Obviously I know you're a big fan of their head coach, Matt Rule.
Mm-hmm.
First thing that comes to mind when you see this Nebraska squad.
I mean, the first thing that's going to come to mind is obviously the quarterback, Dylan Raiola, right? You're talking about the young freshman quarterback who they liken to Patrick Mahomes, his hair, his mannerisms, the number. He's even built like Mahomes. And so, there's a lot of things that people like to compare. I think Coach Rule did a great job of handing him the keys to the program, right as a true freshman, because he's going to face some lumps and face some struggles, but he's a very talented kid. And so that's the first thing that I think of. Now, do I think he's their best player? No, I don't. I think their running back, I think Dowdell, I think that's his last name. I forgot his first name. I think he's a very solid running back. I think he can get downhill. He's a bigger guy, likes to lower his shoulder and get those shoulders going vertical. I think he can do those things. I think, coming off of the Oregon game, I don't believe that we're going to see the same level of receiver that we saw against Oregon. And so, will be interesting to see what we do defensively, which we'll get into a little bit later. But yeah, those are the first two guys that really jump off at the screen to me. And then, Coach Rule is, he didn't have a good run in the NFL, but the guy knows how to coach football. And I think Nebraska knocked it out of the park with hiring him. I think it was a good, it wasn't just a safe choice. I thought it was a very well thought out pick for head coach, somebody that has gone to multiple programs, built them up from nothing. And now, since he had his NFL itch and it didn't work out, he's going to give Nebraska everything they've got. So I think there's some good things going on for the Nebraska Cornhuskers. And, those are the first three things that really jump out to me about them.
Yeah, I mean, and the more we see with the Carolina Panthers, I don't know the rule was the problem.
Yeah.
There's dumpster fires, and there's like the dumpster going down the hill on fire meme. That's the Panthers. So yeah, I mean, you mentioned Raiola and Dowdle, so we'll hop into the offense real quick. So they are getting 370 yards a game, 243 through the air, 127 on the ground, 16 of 28 in the red zone. Not bad.
Mm-mm.
That's just touchdowns. That's not field goals. 25 points a game. That's a little low, but so obviously with Raiola, obviously, if you don't follow the Buckeyes real close or recruiting, Raiola was a Buckeye commit. Kind of came out of nowhere when he committed, and then decommitted, committed to Georgia, moved to Georgia, went all in, and then decommitted. I think it's his uncle is on staff at Nebraska. Yep. Dad played in the league for the Lions. Dad was a beast.
Mm-hmm.
I have a story about Dad. I'll tell you off the air. Raiola's got 9 touchdown passes, 6 picks though.
Yeah.
That's what stood out to me watching him in high school. And when he committed to Ohio State, he was the number 1 player in the country.
Yeah.
Which he was later supplanted by a guy named Jeremiah Smith.
Yeah.
My thing that stood out to me with his high school tape, though, is he was not playing a real high level of comp in Arizona. And
Mm-hmm.
like we've always said, if you are that good, i.e. Tavion St. Clair, you should be dominating the guys you're playing.
Mm-hmm.
Everybody that has watched Bell Fountain, I've had people that don't even know that we do this podcast, but know that I'm a Buckeye fan. Hey, man, is the kid from Bell Fountain the real deal? I work with a guy or whatever, and they talk about how good he is. He's the real deal.
He's the real deal.
And Raiola's the real deal, but he's a freshman. There's going to be growing pains. But in the situation where Nebraska was in a full rebuild, basically, handing him the keys to the car makes the most sense.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I agree with that 100%. I think the one thing you have to realize when you have all of the talent in the world like he has, you've got the natural arm strength, you can throw from every arm angle. You believe that you can make every throw and you're gonna be a gunslinger. And we see that, Baker Mayfield's that way. You see that with Brett Favre way back when. The level of interceptions that they throw. Jameis Winston, that one year with the Buccaneers, he threw hit 30 and 30. Yeah. You have that mentality that you can make every single throw and that my arm strength is going to be able to fit it into these tight windows. And I think it's one of the reasons why you're seeing Raiola, have some interceptions. I also think, like you said, he's a freshman. I think some of the defenses some of the defensive coordinators can do a really good job of really messing up his scheme or his reads with the defensive scheme. I also think, their offensive line is not the greatest. I don't want to sit here and trash them. I haven't broken down or watched enough film to sit here and give a true judgment of their offensive line. But based on what I've watched against Indiana, I really think, Ohio State's defensive line could give them some fits. That's a whole nother conversation as well. But I think that it all ties together into a young freshman making some freshman mistakes.
Yeah, absolutely. It doesn't hurt, when you've got a guy like Dante Dowdle, 358 yards. So that doesn't seem like a lot, but it looks like they run about 4 guys pretty consistently.
Yeah.
And he's got 5 touchdowns. So he's obviously kind of they don't really have that bell cow running back. It's kind of running back by committee, it seems, but he's by far the best one of the bunch. Thing that stood out to me is receivers. They got 2 guys over 300 yards already. Jamal Banks, 316 yards, 2 touchdowns, and Isaiah Nair, 304, but 4 touchdowns. Mm-hmm. So they've got playmakers. They've done a really good job of beginning to rebuild Nebraska.
Yeah, I agree. And I think coming off the Oregon game, with the way Denzel Burke played, the big plays that we gave up, I can guarantee you they're going to take shots down the field. These 50-50 balls, go throw them up, let our guys on the outside go make plays. And so I think they're going to honestly, like, if I were them, I would not play this game conservatively.
Yeah.
I would just let Raiola go out there and spin it. And, you've got nothing to lose, right?
Yeah.
You just got, your back kicked in against Indiana, right? And so you're coming into this game amped up, ready to go against the Buckeyes, playing in the horseshoe. Like, what do you got to lose? Let it spin and let our guys go make plays. And so, it'll be interesting to see their game plan going into it. But I know if I were them, I'm telling those guys all week long, we've got nothing to lose. Let's go out there. Let's represent ourselves well. Let's represent our families well. And let's just have fun. And let's make it a game in the fourth quarter. Whatever we have to do to make it a game in the fourth quarter, let's make sure we do it. And I'm not playing conservative. I'm attacking those corners like no other. It's just up to the offensive line whether they will be able to hold up, and if the defensive line for Ohio State's going to be able to get pressure on them. Because when we watch a couple clips here in a second, you'll see, Indiana did a great job of getting Raiola off of his spot, which caused some errant throws, which forced some checkdowns and allowed, Indiana to do some different things defensively. And so, it will be a good bounce back game for the Buckeyes. And it's one that we definitely can't overlook. Last week is last week for them. They're moving on. They got nothing to lose. They're going to come ready to play.
Yeah, absolutely. Hopping over to the defense, they're giving up 18 points a game, 304 yards, basically 200, 100 passing and rushing, 13 touchdowns and 20 red zone trips though. That's, you're starting to push 70% at that point, and that's pretty steep. But they've got takeaways. 8 picks, led by Malcolm Hartzog, who has 3 of those 8. So he's got some ball hawk in him. Ty Robinson, leading sack guy at 4. Nothing crazy. Jumps off the sheet when you look at the defense. But this is a program, much like the Buckeyes are built as the Silver Bullets. These guys used to be the black shirts.
Yep.
And at some point that's going to come back.
Mm-hmm.
So like you said, these guys are going to be aggressive. They are going to try to force Will Howard to make mistakes, which, knock on wood, we have not really seen him make mistakes. Even in the Oregon game, Will Howard played really, really well. Like we said Sunday when we recorded, if Ohio State wins that game, Will Howard's in the Heisman conversation.
Absolutely. I agree 100%.
And he didn't play himself out of it yet. If he goes on a tear, we go beat Penn State at Penn State. You beat presumably undefeated Indiana, and you beat Oregon in the Big Ten title game. Will Howard's got a chance because Miami's going to trip up, and then when they do, it's probably going to be because Cam Ward has a bad game. So defensively, there's definitely some stuff to take advantage of. I'll be interested to see how we choose to attack the D.
Yeah, I think that's and I refrained from listening to any Buckeye podcasts last week. I didn't want to hear that the sky was falling and that the world was ending and that everybody should be fired and all these different things. I didn't want to. Yeah. I just didn't. I didn't want to hear that. And so this week I picked it back up, listening and just seeing what other people were thinking. And that is the overwhelming question: is how are they going to attack? How are they going to attack us? And what is the game plan for our offense? Are we going to try to get the run game going? Or are we going to try to hurt them through the air? I think the Buckeyes really need to establish a run. I said it 2 weeks ago when we were talking about, Ryan Day in these big games. We have to be able to win the line of scrimmage. Bottom line, when it gets cold and God forbid we have a bad weather game, we're going to have to be able to run the football. There's no doubt about it. We can't rely on Travion or Quinshawn busting an 80-yard run all the time. We got to be able to get 4, 5, 6 yards a carry, and we've got to be able to convert on 3rd and short with the running game. And so I really want to see the Buckeyes come out and establish that. really work to change the line of scrimmage, and really put pressure on them to stop the run. And so when they add that extra hat into the box, okay, now we could take a shot down the field. We can work our intermediate game. And so that is what I really want to see the Buckeyes do. They have to get back to that. If we want to beat Penn State, we've got to run the ball. If we want to beat, Indiana, we've got to run the ball. If we want to beat the team up north, we've got to be able to successfully run the ball. And so I want to see us establish that line of scrimmage and really work to pound the run game.
Yeah, and I think the other thing with establishing the run, that helps you ease Zen into the flow.
Yes.
I mean, blocking's not easy by any stretch of the imagination, but run blocking tends to be easier to pick up than pass blocking.
Yeah.
It's just not, it can be complex, but a lot of what Coach Kelly wants to do is not. When you really break down the X's and O's of what the linemen are asked to do, especially the tackles.
Yeah.
If you're an interior guy, it's a little bit different.
Yeah.
So I think that's twofold. You get him acclimated, you help build that confidence, and if the wheels fall off, you make the move. Ryan Day said we have plans B, C, and D in place.
Yeah.
And you're right, though. We have to get back to running the ball.
Yeah.
Do I think we're going to let it air out some too? Absolutely. I mean, this is potentially a game where the Buckeyes could have 500 yards of offense and 6 touchdowns.
Yeah.
So I think you'll see us try to be balanced, but I think to set the tone, we will use the run to set up the pass.
Yeah. Yeah. And it's something that I believe the Buckeyes, I don't want to say it's a culture thing. I don't want to say it's a Ryan Day thing. I think it is, you want to win big games. You want to be a national championship contender. You have to have a balanced running attack. You cannot lose the rushing battle in these big games. If you look at all of them, and I sound like a broken record, when we lose those big games, it's because we lose the rushing battle. And so how do you fix that? How do you change that? By coming out and working to set the tone and getting those big offensive linemen, some confidence, when it comes to blocking and when it comes to really changing the levels and really owning that line of scrimmage. And so, obviously I think we're going to air it out. I think Will Howard will have, almost 300 yards, if not more. But that running game, we need to be at 190, 200 yards plus. And that's got to be every single week. It can't vary. It's got to be every single week. We have the 2 best running backs in the country. It sucks. We lost Jimmy, for the rest of the season. But Zen he's not some slouch. He's not some bum. Like he's, was in the battle to be the starter last year with Jimmy, and Jimmy just beat him out. And so they put him in. He didn't hurt us. He didn't play outstanding. But I think with a full week of preparation with that first group, I think he can do some solid things. And so that offensive line just really has to work to dominate those trenches, man, because that run game is going to take us, to week 14, 15, 16, 17, however many weeks the college football playoff is going to be. It will take us all the way through if we're able to take care of business in the run game.
Yeah, absolutely. You obviously hit on the Josh Simmons news. Day did confirm he's out for the year. Will be interesting to see what happens there. He does have another year of eligibility.
Yeah.
That would be crazy, looking ahead. But, on the defensive side of the ball for the Buckeyes, obviously that's the unit living under the microscope right now. We've talked about this almost every week. It's came to the point of the year where Lathan Ransom is injured. We don't really know what it is, and it does not sound real bad.
Yeah.
Sounds like it may be a precautionary thing. We want him back for Penn State, so we're going to hold him out this week. Day didn't really commit to an option. Reading the tea leaves, it sounds like Jalen McClain will be the guy, but there's also been some talk you move Hancock back there, look at some other slot options. So we'll see there. Jalen McClain coming in, if that's the case, I guess it's another situation where it's a good game for it.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree with that. I think this is one of the things that when you have to deal with injuries as a head coach, man, you like Coach Day said, you got to have plan B, C, and D, right? You've got to have everything in order. Um, Coaching staffs like that I've been a part of have always given me a hard time because I'm always trying to make sure guys are getting ready, right?
Right.
You cannot stop developing in season because you never know when you're going to need them, right? So you can't just have a too deep. After you're too deep, yet third guy needs to be ready to inch into that too deep. Like if he comes in, it's not that much of a drop off from the guy
Right.
that was the initial backup. And so I think if it were me, I'm not moving Jordan Hancock. I want him to continue to be, establish himself in the slot. He's not off to the greatest start this season, but I would like to see him, be in there in the slot. Obviously, he has the versatility to play safety, but I'm going to get one of these young guys in. I'm going to get Jalen McClain in. I'm going to, get the guy that we got. Guy just blanked on his name from South Carolina.
Oh,
I'm
Keenan Nelson.
Yeah, Keenan Nelson. I'm going to get Malik Hartford, whoever it is. I'm going to get them in and let them get some quality reps because Jalen McClain balled out in the spring, right? Jaden Bonsu balled out in the spring, and so these guys are very talented guys. They're at Ohio State. Let them go eat, and let Jordan Hancock stay in the slot. Now, if they decide to move Jordan Hancock back, you've got, Lorenzo Styles Jr. and you have Jermaine Matthews that can play in the slot as well. So they may look at that and it's a better way to get the best 11 guys on the field, which I would totally understand. I think Lorenzo Styles is really good. He just has Jordan Hancock in front of him. Obviously, Jermaine Matthews is a dog as well. So they've got guys that could play in the nickel position. But if I were them, I would go with McClain, try to keep things as similar as possible and to see what the young guy can do, because I think he's a very talented, rangy type of player who's very similar to he is similar. Him and Jaden Bonsu have some similar traits to Lathan Ransom, but I think Jalen McClain is a little bit more rangy, and so he's more of a true safety back there. So that's the direction that I would go if I were them.
I mean, selfishly, I want to see Jermaine Matthews play. So, I would be okay with that, but I get it. Obviously the big thing though is everybody's going to be watching the D line. I don't, we've talked about it. Everybody and their brother has talked about it. Day talked about it a lot. He said he spent the whole bye week with the defense basically. And I thought it was really cool to see, when Ryan got asked about the Nick Saban comment, he goes, he's not wrong. I mean, so that's him putting his staff on notice. Yeah. Guys, something has to change.
Honestly, that's one of the great things about having an offensive minded head coach, right? Ryan Day, great play caller. We all know what he can do. Every one of his offenses has always been great. But now that he's in the CEO role, he can take a look back and look at things holistically and let Coach Knowles know, like, listen, man, this is where I would attack you. And you have to listen to him because he's one of the best in the country.
Yep.
So when he comes into that meeting room, not only is he the boss and the head coach and it puts pressure on you, he's coming from it from a perception of, this is where I'm going to attack you. If I was lining up against our defense now, I'm not fearful of this. I'm going to attack you here. I'm going to attack you here. So how are we going to address those things? Man, one of the hardest things in the world for a coach is when things aren't going well for your defense, for your offense, and the head coach is now in your meeting rooms on a consistent basis, right? Not that Jim Knowles or the other defensive coaches were relaxed or anything, but it adds a sense of pressure that things have to get done. And you can feel it. It's almost like it has like a texture. Like you just know, you just know that tension is there. That tension is there. And so I'm sure these last 2 weeks of practice have been insane. And I'm sure that they have been hard. And I'm sure that they are going to show something different that we haven't seen. this past week, I refrained from listening to Buckeye podcasts, but one thing I did dive into, I went back and started watching 2021 Oklahoma State again. I had to go back, right? And there is something that is different. It is just different. I watched their game against Baylor, and they lost, I believe, 21-16 against Baylor in 2021. But it was a very good game. The defense gave up, I believe, 14 or 21 points in the first half, and then the second half got a shutout. And I was just sitting there watching what Oklahoma State was doing, and it's not our defense. It is not what we're doing. The variety of fronts and movements and utilization of their athletes. I mean, I was watching their jack and the way that they use their jack linebacker. It is just not what we are doing. And so with the rumors, with the way people talk about the disconnect between Larry Johnson and Jim Knowles, after watching that, I believe it. I believe there is something. I believe there is some sort of tension. I don't know what it is. But whatever we need to do to make sure that that front is getting pressure on the quarterback is something that we have to do. JT and Jack Sawyer and Kenyatta Jackson and Caden Curry and Edric Houston and Mitchell Melton, they are all too talented to not be getting sacks against anybody, right? And so this is where I think Ryan Day is extremely frustrated. Getting pressure on the quarterback really can mask a lot of your issues in the back end, right? It forces a quarterback to get off a spot. It allows a DB to gain an extra step in coverage. Like, there are so many different things that it does. And if you're not doing that, then you're going to get the result that we had last week. And so Ryan Day knows what's at stake. We're not going to win a natty if that's how we're going to play defense. And so, I'll be paying close attention to very, very small, tiny details because something's got to switch up. And we've got to find a way to get pressure without playing cover zero every snaps. And so it'll be interesting to see, man. But I know Coach Day, I've been there as an assistant, as the defensive coordinator whose defense, it's 2016, and we should have beat Buckeye Valley, man, when I was at Harding, and the defense gave up 42 points. I remember it vividly, and I was sick to my stomach the next day. And we lost 42-37. We just could not get a stop. Coach Brady was blowing my phone up that night, calling me the next morning, get to the fitness center on Sunday morning, get to the fitness center. We are going to figure this out right now. Right. And so I remember those pressure moments and having to respond. And then I've been on the other side too, as the head coach, and our offense isn't playing well. And I've had to, make some hard decisions and change play calling duties and different things like that because we needed a spark. We needed something. And so it's not a fun place to be, man. It is not. But like you said, it can be a good thing with where it happened in the season for us.
Yeah, absolutely. I think you're really going to see what these guys are made of. I'm excited, though. Obviously, we're halfway through the greatest season of the year already. But I think the Buckeyes rebound in a big way. I've got it. I don't want to overshoot because you never know. But I think everybody on the team comes out with something to prove, and I think it's 42-7.
Okay, that's solid. That's solid. My number was 41-13, right? I think they score one on our second unit in the fourth quarter, but I got it 41-13. I think, like you said, they've got something to prove. I could very well see the Buckeyes scoring more than that.
Yeah, same.
But all my sole focus is going to be on the defense.
Absolutely.
And so this is the one game I may not watch as a fan, and I'll be watching as a coach.
I love it. So yeah, I think you've got some stuff queued up, but instead of the Buckeyes, we're going to dive into the Huskers a little bit.
Yeah. So I figured, this is something that we could do. Just show a couple clips, of our opponent. I think, this will be good for us to just kind of see some of the things that Indiana did to really give Nebraska some issues when it came to the pass game. All right. You got me? Can you see that?
Yep, we're good.
All right, here we go. So obviously Dylan Raiola at quarterback. One of the things that I want to show you guys though too, if you look at Indiana's, structure here, it's very similar to what the Buckeyes do, right? So when people say the Buckeyes are doing this old defense, blah, 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 no, it's pretty similar to every single team who does a 4-man front. All right. So we're just struggling in some areas. One of their things I love about Indiana is their defensive coordinator, Bryant Haynes. He's an Ohio guy. He's from Piqua. Very young dude. He's a very good coach. Came from James Madison. He knows what he's doing, man. He's one of those risers coming up in the in NCAA football, and so he knows what to do. He knows how to coach football, and so I've had a chance to meet him a couple times, and he's a really good guy. And he's got these guys at Indiana playing really well. All right, so one thing I wanted to show about this play, I guarantee you we see this. I guarantee you we see something similar to this. If they see this one-on-one and this safety's on the hash only at 10 yards, they know that he's likely not going to be able to get over top here. They're going to try to find this matchup. And if this is Denzel Burke, they're going to test him. They are going to test him vertically. Dylan Raiola can make every single throw, right? Now, Indiana's guy did a really smart thing. All right, I'm cooked on the double move. I'm just going to grab you, right?
Yep.
I'd rather get pass interference than give up a touchdown. So this is something that I think we are going to see very early in the game, right? We're going to test you. We're going to see what you can do over when we try to get the ball downfield. So Denzel Burke, IGB, you better be locked in and ready to go. All right, we're coming back here. All right, now you can see another vertical concept here, right? We're getting this up top. If Raiola has his eyes downfield, he's got a tutty. Okay, with just like we make some mistakes in coverage, every team in the country does it as well. If his eyes are down the field right now, he's got a tutty if he wants it. Okay, but what do you notice that he likely feels in the pocket? He feels pressure, right? He's got to step up. He's got to step up. He's got to step up, right? So now he's forced to move. I have to hit my check down instead of throwing the ball down the field. Rally to it, make the tackle. Again, does the defensive line do anything special? No, they just outwork them, right? And so two guys were able to get to the quarterback, and this is what we need from our defensive line. I understand Pro Football Focus grades our pressure rates very high and things like that, but I'll be interested to see how they do those pressure rates because these are the things that I consider pressure, right? Sometimes some of the pressures they give the Buckeyes, I don't know. Okay, so these are some things that we're gonna have to do. Got to get pressure. Got to get Raiola off a spot. Watch it again from this angle. Tell me this guy doesn't look like Patrick Mahomes. Everything about him is Patrick Mahomes. Now, you see their offensive line does a pretty decent job, right? I think Raiola could have stepped up in the pocket here. But the one thing I love about Indiana's defense, they just kept moving. They just kept going, right? Yeah, they didn't stop. And so we need to see that. We need to see that from our guys. All right. Next clip here, another pass play. Okay. Indiana does a really good job of flooding the underneath coverages here, taking away the quick throws, right? It was 2nd and 5. So just trying to get the ball out quick, get an easy first down, forced to hit the check down, rally to it. They were still able to pick it up. Now, this is in the beginning of the game. Right now, I believe they're down 7-0. So they're feeling pretty good, right? They got a pretty decent drive going. Just getting the ball to their guy out of the running back or out of the backfield. They didn't give it to him, so it's 3rd and 1. It's another reason why I wanted to show this. This guy is very capable. He's a very capable runner. Okay, he's a very capable runner. Arm tackles, as you can see, aren't going to work. Okay, you got to wrap up. You got to wrap and squeeze, get them down to the ground. Now, the other thing I like about this too, their offensive line, they're able to get some movement.
Mm.
All right. They're able to get some movement. It's not like they're just a bunch of slouches. They're able to get some movement, and they were, 3rd and 1. You got to be able to run the ball and get that first down. It's a much better angle here. Bringing the pressure off the edge. Got two guys end up in the same gap. I doubt that was the way that was supposed to work out. I'm sure that this guy was supposed to be able to go down inside while this guy comes off the edge. If that guy goes down inside, he probably makes a play. But he didn't, and he gave up a first down. So again, looking at it, did they get destroyed? Absolutely, they got destroyed. But to start out, things were looking okay offensively. Now, these are the things that we're going to have to see in the run game. All right. This is a look that you will see from us. Now, this, could be a Sunny style situation. This could be the jack, right? If we actually ever employ a jack, or it just could be JT doing the same exact thing. These are the type of things that you would see, Jim Knowles do at at Oklahoma State, right? Just getting another athlete out here on the field. Okay. Linebackers do a good job of fitting and folding over top. Nebraska's not really doing a good job of getting any movement. They win the down. Second and 9 here. Trying to get into the pass game. What do you notice? Pressure. What do you notice about Raiola? Is he really moving in the pocket? He's got a lot of space this way that he can move, right? He's got some guys open. Not sure what his reads are here, but he can get the ball out quick. He doesn't trust it. Why doesn't he trust it? Because he's got pressure right in his face. Now he's got to spin out, try to make a play. Throws a terrible ball. Might have got knocked down. Again, finding ways to create pressure. Just being relentless. Love this stunt. Number 7 sold it upfield. That's a great stunt. These are things that we don't do enough of, in my opinion, at Ohio State right now.
Yeah, there's no variety.
It's a great stunt right here. And I know our guys can do this at a high level. All right, 3rd and 9. Simple RPO, right? See, number 3 is going to be uncovered. Get the ball out quick. Easy throw, right? You'll take those easy throws. That was 4th down. Oh, they gave him the first. We'll watch a couple more plays. Again, not winning the line of scrimmage. I think this is an area where the Buckeyes could take advantage of them, right? Some extra pressures. I think you're going to see us play some man coverage down in the red zone, as we should. We got to be able to get stops, get some pressure off the edge here. Win first down. Win first down. Really put pressure on this offensive line. You got guys chasing people all over. Winning his one-on-one. Not seeing enough of that from our guys. Win his one-on-one, make a play.
You sent that clip and this week to me, and it was about, not winning the one-on-ones, and it's wild.
Yeah. Like at some point, you got to pull the trigger and make a play. This guy's pulling the trigger and making a play. That's what we need to see from our guys. Now, this is, I believe, yes, this is a different quarterback that they bring in to do some speed option stuff, right? A little nod to Coach Osborne with the option game.
Tommy Frazier.
Yeah, Tommy Frazier. Option here, just leaving this guy unblocked, reading him. Okay, this is something that they will do. Bring in this running quarterback because he's able to go do these things right here.
And you don't want your starter to get all the licks on him.
No. All right, 3rd and 1. This will be it right here. Boom. Play in the backfield. Again, not seeing enough of this.
No.
Not seeing enough of this. When we blitz, we need to blitz with intent to go make plays. This guy right here blitz and forces this guard to step down on him. All right. And now this linebacker is going to work right over top into this open space, and he's going to go make the play. These are things that we need to see from the Buckeye defense. If we want to get back to being that dominant defense that we think we can be, we've got to be able to go out and do those things. And you see Indiana did some good things against them. I think the Buckeyes can mimic some of those things in the defensive game plan and really shut them down.
Yeah, absolutely. It's not going to be quote unquote easy. Like you saw, they have the potential to make plays.
Yep.
It's just a matter of what the job always is. Limit the big ones.
Yep.
I don't know how much explosion you'll see out of them. Even when you look at their stats, I think they want to keep the ball out of your hands, wear you down, grind it out. But that's what you want to do when you're at an athlete disadvantage, like they still are. So it makes total sense. But I think the boys come out ready to play Sunday or Saturday.
Yeah, I agree with you 100%.
But yeah, I think that pretty much wraps it up. I think that's all I've got. Hopefully we'll be discussing a big Buckeye win on Sunday when we record for you guys next week. But with that, thanks for the support as always, and we will see you guys next week.